Welcome to the Tell Us Ellis podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We've got four more teams. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4 more teams to do after today. Today, we're going to cover 2 teams, and that will leave us with 4. This will probably be released tomorrow, Thursday morning. I'll release something Friday, and then the final 2 probably Saturday morning. And then I'll do my podcast on the complete MLB season, and that is going to be released probably on Monday morning. That gives you Tuesday to listen to it. Season starts off Wednesday, Yankees and Giants, I believe, and a full day of baseball then Thursday. So really excited to get into it. Today, we are going to cover 2 teams. Drum roll, please, the Kansas City Royals and the Minnesota Twins, both AL Central Division teams that have been pretty good over the last couple of years, but we'll get into it. Definitely playoff appearances by these teams recently, but again, we'll get into the details. Before we do, just a reminder, whether you listen to this podcast on the radio, whether you listen to it in your car radio through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, something like that, or whether you watch it on YouTube or however you follow your podcasts, make sure you subscribe to this one and let it come up into your feed regularly. That way it's ready to go. You don't even have to worry about, he's releasing another podcast Friday. You don't even have to worry about it. It just shows up. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Would really appreciate that. If you like the episode, give it a thumbs up. Would appreciate that as well. And follow me on social media too. It's at Tell Us Ellis HQ. That's on X. That's on Spotify. And send me an email. If you have questions, thoughts, concerns, you want to challenge me on something, or you want to join the show. We've been so baseball heavy. We've had the Bush family join on some wrestling stuff. We're going to do some WrestleMania stuff here soon. That's great. My friend, poor Murph, I consider him Football Murph, but Football Murph is like, I want to do more podcasts. Murph's going to be back on. We're going to talk a little bit of football, the off season. Buckler's going to be back on, talk a little bit NBA playoffs coming up soon. So a lot going on. We've got to get into some more rewind sessions. But again, really wanted to focus on baseball this last month or so. And again, 2 more teams today, and we'll have 4 left after this. So without further ado, let's get into the Kansas City Royals. All right, so if you look at the Royals, I mentioned they've been a playoff team, and this is a team that has not historically, in the more modern era, been a very good club. It is a historic team. You go back to the 80s. I think of the Brett Saberhagen years and the Dan Quisenberry years and all those great teams that the Royals had in the 80s. But they're really trying here to put something together that's longer and sustaining. 2021, they win 74 games, finish in 4th place, 19 games back. 2022, they fall. They lose 9 more games that season, fall to 65 and 97, 5th place, 27 games back. The next year, they lose 9 more games. 2023, this team finished 56 and 106. That's remarkable. 56 and 106, 5th place, 31 games back. Very disappointing year. 2024, resurgent year for them, 86 and 76. That's right. They won 30 more games in 2024 than they did the year previous. 86 and 76 ended up in 2nd place, 6.5 games back of 1st. That year, they win the American League wild card disgustingly over my Baltimore Orioles, 2-0. But then they lost in the American League Division Series to the Yankees 3-1. Last year, they regressed a little bit, ended up 82 and 80, 3rd place, 6 games back. They had a 7-game win streak through May 9th, and they were actually sitting at 24 and 16. But then right after that, they went 10 and 22, and it pushed them kind of out of the race for a while. This team has some good assets, good players, and we'll get into it. It'll be interesting to see where I put them in my pyramid overall. Matt Quatraro is their manager since before the 2023 season. He served as the bench coach for Tampa Bay under Kevin Cash. Kevin Cash has a really good resume, so people that serve with him typically seen pretty highly. He built a strong reputation with Tampa Bay as part of the most analytically advanced organization in Major League Baseball. The Royals hired him as part of a modernization effort within their baseball operations group. It's very development focused now. He is seen as a good communicator and teacher. He fits team building through prospects. It's not flashy. And you know what? He's got a limited track record. So we'll see how he can maybe re-energize this team a little bit. General manager, it's actually executive vice president and general manager, J.J. Piccolo. He was promoted in September 2022. Dayton Moore was fired. Dayton Moore was there for quite some time, was let go. Piccolo worked in the Royals front office for 2 decades, and he currently handles roster construction, trades, draft strategy, player development. He's the longtime internal architect of the organization, strong scouting background. He's still building his reputation, I should say, in more of a front-end leadership role. Again, he's experienced but not flashy, so not a flashy team, but a team that's hoping to rebuild their efforts. From an ownership standpoint, John Sherman purchased the Royals in 2019 for $1 billion from longtime owner David Glass. Sherman's a Kansas City businessman. He's an energy and investment energy and in the general investment sector is where he specializes. Before he took majority control of the team, he was a minority owner in Cleveland. He is committed to Kansas City long-term. He's very supportive of their modernization efforts. He's pushing for a new downtown stadium. He's not a big spender, at least not to this point, but he's not overly restrictive either. He knows that he's going to have to shell out money to help this team, but it's going to have to be at the right time, not throwing money after money after money. Right now, this team, they continue to play in Kauffman Stadium. Again, the Chiefs got a new ballpark or a new football stadium approved. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Royals here. But Kauffman Stadium, longtime home for this team. It plays more towards hitting than pitching. If you look overall, it's at a plus 104. So if 100 is average, this plays about 4% higher than that. How does it play throughout the year? Well, April, it's down about 1% on runs. May, it's up 1%. June, it's down about 4%. July, it's up 4%. August, it's up 6%. September, it's up 2%. So again, you get into those hotter months, especially July and August, you see a lot more runs being scored in this stadium. So let's take a look at the changes since last offseason. Let's talk about the players that they've lost since last year, Kansas City. I'll start with Mike Yastrzemski. He signed with the Braves, and I think it was a really good signing by the Braves, especially now that Jerks and Profar are suspended for the year. I think Yastrzemski's probably going to get more at-bats than the Braves initially thought. With Kansas City last year, he batted .233, 17 home runs, 46 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, a .736 OPS. Look, he is not an all-star player, but he is going to work hard and he will produce for you. Again, not all-star level numbers, but he can be a really good piece to an organization. So a little bit of a loss there in Mike Yastrzemski. Other batters, MJ Melendez, boy, he kind of fell off the radar for this team. He was a prospect at one time, a catching prospect, moved him to the outfield. He has just forgotten how to hit. Only batted .083 last year, 1 home run, 1 RBI, very limited action, but he has now signed with Mets. Randall Grichuk is now no longer with this team. Grichuk hit .228 last year, 9 home runs, 27 RBIs. He came over to this team from Arizona. Most of those numbers are with Arizona when he was with Arizona. And then Adam Frazier is another bat they lost. He signed with the Angels. Frazier's another guy like Yastrzemski. Frazier's more of the infield equivalent to Yastrzemski. Batted .267, 7 home runs, 44 RBIs, and 8 stolen bases. That was between Pittsburgh and Kansas City last year. So, you know, they didn't lose any of these huge bats, but they did use kind of key fill-in players, the Yastrzemskis and the Fraziers of the world. We'll see how that fits as we look at 2026. Now, on the pitching side, they lost a couple of players. Michael Lorenzen's one that he signed with the Rockies. You know, Lorenzen, really good guy at giving them innings. 7-11 with a .464 ERA last year. Doesn't sound great, but he started 26 games, pitched 141 and 2/3 innings, struck out 127 batters, pitched to a whip of 1.33. Again, not a front end of the rotation arm, but a back end of the rotation arm and somebody that you can rely on. So they lose that arm. They lost Angel Zerpa, a relief pitcher who went over to the Brewers in a trade. Zerpa was 5-2 with a 4.18 ERA last year, and that was in 69 games. So a bullpen arm, you're going to have to find some innings to replace that. Zerpa pitched 64 and 2/3 innings, struck out 58 batters. His whip was elevated a little bit, 138. Another player that they lost, Hunter Harvey, goes to the Cubs. Now, Harvey only pitched in 12 games with the Royals last year, often injured. The Cubs really hoping for health with Harvey. It would be really important. He could be a big bullpen piece for the Cubs. We talked about that when we covered the Cubs. Taylor Clark, a relief pitcher signed with the Diamondbacks. Clark was 1-1 with a 3.25 ERA for the Royals last year, 51 games, 55 1/3 innings, 44 strikeouts, and a 0.85 whip. So really good bullpen arm for the Royals last year. And then the last player I'll talk about is Jonathan Bolin. He went over to the Phillies in a trade, another relief pitcher, 1-2 with a 3.86 ERA, 34 games. He pitched 44 1/3 innings, pitched to a 1.22 whip. So, nothing extravagant that they lost, but again, key pieces like a Lorenzen, like a Zerpa, like a Taylor Clark, like a Frazier, like a Yastrzemski. Again, nobody that's going to roll you over, but some good pieces. So what did they add? I'll start on the hitting side. Lane Thomas signed with the Royals in the offseason. He's an outfielder, only batted 160 last year, only had 125 at-bats, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 4 stolen bases. He comes over. We'll see if he makes this final roster. Isaac Collins came over to the Royals in a trade with the Brewers. Actually, 2 players that came over in that trade, Isaac Collins and Nick Mears, a relief pitcher. Isaac Collins is an outfielder, batted 263, 9 home runs, 54 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, a 779 OPS. So there's your Mike Yastrzemski replacement. I'll talk about Mears in a second. Let me keep looking at batters. Starling Marte signed. He played with the Mets the last few years. He signs with the Royals. Getting older is Marte, but a 270 hitter, 9 home runs, 34 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, a 745 OPS. So a nice outfield piece. Cameron Meisner comes over in a trade with the Rays. Meisner just 213, 5 home runs, 22 RBIs, 8 stolen bases though, and a 618 OPS. And then the last batter is Luke Malley, a catcher. He actually re-signed with the Royals, just 244, a home run, and 6 RBIs last year. So again, you lose really an outfielder and an infielder, kind of utility guys, Yastrzemski and Frazier, and you bring in an Isaac Collins, a Starling Marte, a Cameron Meisner. So maybe they didn't lose too much. I don't think they added too much there either. Now let's look at the pitching side. So what did they add to make up some of these innings? Well, Matt Strahm comes over from the Phillies. Strahm, a really, really, really good bullpen arm. I really like him. 2-3, 274 ERA in 66 games for the Phillies last year. 62 1/3 innings, 70 strikeouts, and a 107 whip. So really like that bullpen addition for the Royals. Nick Mears comes over, as I said, in that trade with the Brewers, 5-3 with a 3.49 ERA, 63 games, 56 2/3 innings, 46 strikeouts, and an 0.97 whip. So that's really nice to see Mears come over, and that's another really good bullpen arm. Alex Lang had season-ending shoulder surgery last year, signed with the Royals. We'll see what he has this year. He only pitched in 1 game last year. I haven't really kept up with his spring training to see if he's going to be ready for the start of the season, but he was a really good arm in that Tigers bullpen for a long time, so potentially another good piece. And then Eli Morgan signed a minor league deal with the Royals, 0-1 with a 12.27 last year. That was only in 7 1/3 innings. He did have some elbow issues last year. So not a lot of change in this team year over year. If you look at what they lost, you look at what they brought in. So then it becomes a question of what you had last year. Is it going to improve enough to give you success this year? All right, so let's pick up on the Royals hitting, man. Last year, the Royals 15th in average, 22nd in on-base percentage, 20th in OPS, what's their lineup look like? So it starts at third base with Miguel Garcia, 26 years old now. Garcia was an amateur free agent out of Venezuela back in 2016. Last year, really good year, 286, 351 on base percentage, 16 home runs, 23 stolen bases, 286 hitter. He should be at third base every day and do very well for this team. Again, only 26 years old, so very exciting. Bobby Witt Jr. is the shortstop, one of the best hitters in baseball, second overall pick back in 2019. Last year, 295, 23 home runs, 38 stolen bases, 351 on base percentage, 501 slugging percentage. Again, one of the best shortstops in baseball, one of the best players in baseball. Vinny Pasquantino, and boy, I like Vinny Pasquantino. Watching him at the World Baseball Classic just as a leader of that Italy team, he was something else out there. And, again, just really, really good overall. So really enjoyed seeing him play. Yeah, he's going to help this Royals team. Last year, he batted 264, 32 home runs, 323 on base percentage, 475 slugging, close to 800 OPS. He was an 11th round pick back in 2019, but Pasquantino really settling into that I'll say cleanup hitter, number 3, number 4 hitter in the lineup. Salvador Perez, right-hand hitting catcher, now 35 years old, closer to 36 at opening day. 236 last year. You don't like the low average. You don't like the fact he gets on base 28% of the time, but he does have 30 home runs. So you do like that from him as a hitter. So, 1 through 4 looks pretty solid. Now, let's look at a potential number 5 hitter being Jack Caglianone, left-handed hitter, 23 years old, drafted in the first round, 6th overall by the Royals back in 2024, had 232 plate appearances, batted 157, 7 home runs, 1 stolen base. Look, it was his first year. He did graduate from the prospect rankings. He is now a major leaguer, and he will get a chance to play in the outfield a lot. Jonathan India is your second baseman. India was the 5th overall prospect, the 5th overall pick of the Reds back in 2018. Never really developed into what I think the Reds had hoped he would be. 233 last year with just 9 home runs for Jonathan India. Carter Jensen, designated hitter, and I'll call him a designated hitter right now because I think he will get playing time at DH, but also catching. I think he and Salvador Perez will go back and forth. Jensen, 3rd round pick of the Royals, 78th overall back in 2021. Again, 22 years old, approaching 23. Last year in limited action, batted 300 with 3 home runs. I'll talk a little bit more about Carter Jensen shortly, but definitely one of their prospects to keep an eye on. Left field right now, Isaac Collins is slated to play left field. Only batted 263. I shouldn't say only. Batted 263, 9 home runs, 16 stolen bases. He did get on base at a 368 clip, which is good to see. Collins, I've got a feeling about him in the lineup. I'll talk about that in a second. Let me just close with center fielder Kyle Isbell. Isbell's 29 years old. He's a left-handed hitter, batted 255, 4 home runs, 4 stolen bases, just 409 plate appearances last year. When you look at this team, a couple left-handed hitting outfielders, Caglianone and Kyle Isbell, they could spell those guys with some right-handed bats coming off their bench in Sterling Marte and Lane Thomas. They also have Michael Massey, who's a left-handed hitter, can play a platoon infield outfield role. Same thing with Tyler Tolbert, right-handed hitter, can play infield outfield. None of those guys hit the cover off the ball. Sterling Marte is now 37, did bat 270 last year, 9 home runs, 7 stolen bases, got on base 33.5% of the time. Lane Thomas really struggled, a 160 average last year. Tyler Tolbert, 280 hitter, 1 home run, 21 stolen bases. He is a good guy off your bench to come in and pinch run. And then I mentioned Massey, 244 with 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases. I think if this was my team and I was drawing up a lineup card, I'm fine with Miguel Garcia leading off, getting on base 35% of the time, steals 23 bases. I think I'd put Isaac Collins probably second in that lineup, give him a chance. Gets on base 36.8% of the time, stole 16 bases. That allows you to move Witt to the 3rd place in the order, Pasquantino to 4, Perez to 5, Caglianone to 6, just moves everybody back. So overall, I think this is a team that could still be kind of middle ground hitting wise, which isn't bad. Kind of reminds me of the Royals teams of the old, where they were developed really around better pitching than hitting. Speaking of pitching, this is a team that finished 7th in ERA in starting pitching and 13th. So let's take a look at their starters. You've got Cole Reagans, the left-hander, who when he is healthy can be one of the best pitchers in baseball. He was not healthy last year, threw to a 4.67 ERA. But if you look at his numbers, 61 and 2/3 innings, gave up just 53 hits, walked 20 batters, 3 an inning, or 3 a game, 3 every 9 innings. 98 strikeouts, though, in 61 and 2/3 innings. So, a lot of upside potential, definitely ace material. If he can be healthy, he can lead this team as the number 1 starter. Michael Wacha's in this rotation, the ageless wonder. He's still, he's 34 years old right now. I act like he's 50. Feels like he's 50, but pitched really great last year. 3.86 ERA, 172 and 2/3 innings, 166 hits, and 126 strikeouts. Wacha is a really good piece of a starting rotation. Not sure if he's a number 2 starter, maybe more of a number 4 starter, but I think he could be that number 4 starter for the Royals, because you have a guy in Chris Bubic who, 28 years old. He was a first-round pick of the Royals back in 2018. Last year, 116 in the 3rd inning, gave up 98 hits, struck out 116 batters, and pitched to a 2.55 ERA. That was in 20 games started. Look, if he does that, he can be the number 2 starter on this team. Seth Lugo, a right-hander, has shown, at least in 2024, that he could be near the top end of this rotation. Last year, 145 in the 3rd innings, 133 hits, 125 strikeouts, pitched to a 4.15 ERA, but, has all the stuff to be a number 2 starter. So all of a sudden, I feel pretty good about Reagans, Bubic, Lugo, and then Wacha. And then you've got Noah Cameron, 26-year-old, 7th round pick of the Royals in 2021. He came out and started 24 games last year, pitched to a 2.99 ERA, 138 in the 3rd innings, just 109 hits and 114 strikeouts. Look, if these guys pitch to their potential, especially Reagans, this is going to be a top 10 rotation in baseball. And I think they're really now starting to build something here. You've got a hitting a lineup that's kind of mid-level lineup, but then a top 10 starting pitching. That's pretty good. Let's talk about their bullpen. They finished 7th in ERA and 12th in WHIP last year. What do we have? Well, Carlos Estevez is going to be their closer. Saved 42 games for this team last year. 66 innings, 48 hits, 54 strikeouts, pitched to a 2.45 ERA. You've got, as your setup guys, right-hander Lucas Ursig, pitched to a 2.64 ERA last year, 61 in the 3rd innings, 54 hits, and 48 strikeouts. And then Matt Stram, the left-hander, 62 in the 3rd innings, 47 hits, and 70 strikeouts. That was for the Phillies last year, pitched to a 2.74 ERA as your left-hander. So really good back of the bullpen closer and setup guys. Potentially one of the best in baseball. Feel really good about that. Let's talk about their middle relievers. You've got John Schreiber, a right-hander, pitched to a 3.80 ERA last year, 64 innings, 57 hits, 62 strikeouts. Nick Mears comes over from Milwaukee in a trade. Mears, a 3.49 ERA, 56 and 2/3 innings, 42 hits, 46 strikeouts. Daniel Lynch, the 4th, a lefty, 29 years old, former first-round pick of the Royals in 2018. He was selected 34th overall. 67 and 2/3 innings, 66 hits, 45 strikeouts, and he pitched to a 3.06 ERA. And then I'll put Alex Lang in here, again, coming back from shoulder surgery, but Lang, a former closer for the Detroit Tigers, if he can pitch the way he has in the past with maybe a lot less pressure because he is now not in a closer role, he's got the potential to do a lot. He was a first-round pick of the Cubs back in 2017. So really like this bullpen. Long reliever, you've got probably Bailey Falter, came over in a trade with Pittsburgh last July. Falter, a 4.45 ERA, 125 in the 3rd innings, 115 hits, 81 strikeouts. He could start. He could spot start. I'm kind of showing him here in long relief. So a really good bullpen matched with a really good starting rotation, and that's going to pay dividends for this Royals team. I really like it. Let's talk about their prospects and prospect rankings. This is a farm system that in 2021 ranked 13th in baseball. They ranked as high as 5th in 2022, 29th in 2023, 30th in 2024, and then 27th in 2025. This year, they come in at 21st overall. And I want to talk about a couple of their players, just two of them, one of which I already discussed, and that is Carter Jensen. Carter Jensen's a catcher, 22 years old, 6'1", 210 pounds. He is the 11th overall prospect in baseball, according to Baseball America. He debuted for Kansas City in September. He's a left-handed hitting catcher. The Royals drafted him in the 3rd round in 2021. He kind of slowly ascended the Royals system and then broke out in 2025. He hit 290, a 377 on-base percentage, a 501 slugging percentage, so 878 OPS, hit 20 home runs between Double and Triple A. He reached Kansas City, hit 300 with 3 home runs over 20 games. He then went and played winter ball in the Dominican. He works hard. Really well-rounded skill set from the batting side. He's got an elite feel for the barrel, quick hands, a compact swing. He's got a natural understanding of the strike zone. He's always made really good, swing decisions. While his he's maintained a pretty low batting average over time. He does have a higher on-base percentage because he draws walks. He began tapping into his power really more consistently in 24, but then 25 again took off. Upped his hard hit launch angle and overall exit velocities, more consistently used the whole field last year, increased his exit velocity by 4.6 miles an hour. His zone contact rate leveled up to almost 87% in AAA. Look, he's a hitter. He could hit for average. He's going to hit for power. He's not a finished product defensively, but he's making some strides. He improved his framing, his blocking, and his receiving. Not going to be the fastest runner over time. He'll slow down over time, but does have a chance to be an everyday catcher for this team. I would expect him to break camp. I put him in my starting lineup for this team, and he will get the benefit of playing alongside Salvador Perez and see Perez's leadership and grow with this team. So somebody that really exciting to see with the Royals this year. I hope he breaks camp with them. The other player I want to talk about is 18-year-old Kendry Churio. He's a right-hand pitcher, 6 foot, 160 pounds, 2nd overall prospect for the Royals, 82nd overall in baseball, according to Baseball America. He was probably the biggest surprise of the Royals system in 2025. He was signed out of Venezuela for $247,500 last January. He not only played in the Dominican Summer League, he advanced to the Arizona Complex League and then played for low A ball. Really unusual to see a guy to hit 3 steps coming from, the international market. When he hit low A Columbia, he took regular rotation turns, and as a 17-year-old, he showed unbelievable control, really good poise. He walked 5 batters in 51 1/3 innings. He's got a 4-seam fastball that averages 95 miles an hour, can touch 98 miles an hour. Again, he's 18 years old. Keep that in mind. He does have a smaller 6 foot, 160-pound frame, but he consistently throws strikes. He pairs his fastball with a sharp 78-mile-an-hour curveball that has high spin rates, really good downward motion. It's potentially an above-average offering. He's got an effective 87-mile-an-hour fading changeup that has plus potential. He's got this 3/4 arm slot delivery that, he should be. His mechanics are really good. He keeps it really compact. So, even as he adds strength and muscle, I think he's going to be able to keep those mechanics straight. Look, the Royals could say, look, let's just repeat A ball, maybe get you to Double A by the end of the year. But that's okay. Give him a chance to develop. Again, he's 18 years old. This is a rotation that right now is not barking for more arms, although any rotation can use more arms. But it'll be fun to see this guy develop. Grades out as a 60 fastball, 55 curveball, 60 changeup, a control of 60. He will be fun to watch. On the international side, they made a lot of headroads this January, this international class. They signed 3 players in the top 50. The number 4 prospect, Angel Gomez, an outfielder, signed for $2.9 million out of Venezuela. 17 years old, 6'2", 173 pounds. The 22nd overall prospect in this international class was Jader Suarez, a shortstop who the Royals signed for $1.7 million out of Cuba. Again, 17 years old, 6'1", 180 pounds. And then left-handed batter, the 43rd overall prospect in the international class was Adrian Lunar. He's a catcher. They signed for $1 million out of Venezuela. So good stuff in the Royals system. Hopefully they continue to improve even after they graduate some players. Let's say this team does fall out of contention, though. Let's say that the trade deadline is here and they're sellers. Who could they move? A couple of names to think about, and I'll start with some bullpen arms. You've got Matt Strahm, who I talked about, coming over from the Phillies. Signed for $1 million this year and then as a free agent. He could be a really good get for a contending team. John Schreiber, another bullpen arm, signed for $3.715 million this year and a free agent next year. He could be a bullpen arm that a contending team looks for. On the hitting side, Jonathan India, I mentioned him. I don't know if he would be a lucrative player that a team would look for to add to a pennant run. India's paid $8 million this year and is a free agent after this year. Sterling Marte, from a veteran leadership presence standpoint, could be a good outfield get for a team. He's owed $1 million this year and then a free agent after this year. Lane Thomas probably won't be of interest unless he really gets off to a good start. Thomas is paid $5.25 million this year and then as a free agent after this year. The two best players that this team could move is probably number one, Carlos Estevez. He's their closer. He is 33 years old, owed $10 million this year. There is a $13 million club option for next year, but I could see a contending team wanting that arm and maybe the Royals being willing to part with it given his age and given that they're coming towards the end of his contract. And then Chris Bubic, I don't know if they'd move him. Bubic is only 28 years old. By the trade deadline, he'll be 29. You know, former first-round pick of the Royals. I guess for the right deal, they would consider moving him. He's paid $6.15 million this year. He's a free agent after this year. So I think between Bubic and Carlos Estevez, those are probably the best names to move, followed by a Matt Strahm, you know, a John Schreiber, maybe a Sterling Marte. This is a team, by the way, you know, it's a small market team, but I will say this about any small market team. You've got to draw. If you want your owners to spend, you've got to draw. You got to put butts in the seats. 2022, this team drew 1.27 million people. 2023, 1.3 million people. They make the playoffs in 24 and draw 1.7 million people. They did the same in 25. Come out, draw. Get over 2 million fans regularly. That's what the ask should be for every major league team. Get at least 2 million fans in those seats, hopefully 2.5 million fans. So that's the Kansas City Royals for 2026. And when I look at this team, I think they are, you know, probably second last, second from the bottom, or maybe the bottom of my pyramid structure. Not sure they're a playoff team. Could be on the cusp of it. Really good pitching. Something I'm going to have to really take a close look at. So that's the Royals. All right, let's move on to the Minnesota Twins. The Twins, you know, this is a team that has had a ton of success. If you go back to 2002, from 2002 till today, they've made the postseason 10 times. Now, they haven't won a lot of games those 10 times. In fact, they had a pretty long historic losing streak in the playoffs, but they are, they've made the playoffs 10 times in those, 10, 11, 13, 14 years. More recent history, 2021, they were 73 and 89. They finished fifth place, 34 games back. 2022, they finished 78 and 84, 14 games back. 2023, they go 87 and 75, finish in first place, win the American League wild card 2-0 over Toronto, and then lose the American League Division Series 3-1 to Houston. 2024, they go 82 and 80, fourth place, 10.5 games out, and then the bottom falls out last year. They go 70 and 92, fourth place, 18 games out. You know, May 3rd through the 17th, they went on a 13-game win streak that took them to 26 wins and 20 losses. But then after that, they went 44-72. And like I said, the bottom just fell out. The Twins fired Rocco Baldelli and hired Derek Shelton as their manager. Shelton managed the Pirates from 2020 to 2025. He was the Twins bench coach from 2018 to 2019 and was the hitting coach with Cleveland and Tampa Bay. He's got decades of coaching experience and a reputation for preparing and teaching players. He's already seen as understanding the Twins culture. He's very development focused. Here's what I'll say about this, though. I'm not a big fan of reshuffling managers who have not shown big league success. Derek Shelton, for all the accolades on preparing and teaching, he took this Pirates team, and in his 10 years manager there, they went 306 wins and 440 losses. Now, you may say that was a really difficult situation in this, that Pirates organization that hasn't had a lot of winning. But this Minnesota team is no longer a top caliber team. They're kind of changing directions right now and might have to redevelop. And is he the guy that's going to be able to do it for them? That's my only cause of concern. From a general manager standpoint, Joe Pollard serves as executive chair and control person. He took over from his uncle, Jim Pollard. And Jim Pollard took over from Carl Pollard, who had bought the team. He was a Minnesota banker and billionaire in 1984, bought the team for just $44 million, which is pretty astonishing. He's brought some stability. Again, I talked about some of the winning. He's shown he will spend in competitive windows, but he is also conservative, and the fans call him out and this team's ownership out for being too conservative. They just lack aggressive spending. Now, here's what I'll say about that. Let me talk about their general manager first. So Derek Flavey has been the president of baseball operations, hired in 2016. He's the top baseball decision maker. He oversees roster strategy, analytics, player development, scouting, front office hires, analytical and very analytical and process driven. He's credited with modernizing the Twins baseball operations. He's intelligent, well respected. They do have a general manager, Jeremy Zoll, who was promoted in 2022. He works under Derek Flavey. I should say Falvey. It's not Flavey, it's Falvey. Zoll promoted in 2022 after Thad Levine departed. He carries out Falvey's strategy. He's considered part of the new generation of analytics leadership in baseball. Not very high profile. Falvey isn't high profile either. But look, the one thing I'll say about this team is fans complain about not spending. But this has been a pretty good organization. Look at 2023, for example. They go 87-75, win the division, and only draw 1.97 million fans. Fans, you got to come out and support your team regularly. Whether they win or lose, you need to be over 2 million fans. So don't complain. It's Gracie's barking about it because she agrees with me. Don't complain when your team is not spending, but you are not supporting them. Show your support. Last year, you only drew 1,768,000 fans. You need to show your support for this team. Gracie's literally sitting on my lap begging, support your team. So this is a team that plays at Target Field. Overall runs play a little bit higher than average at Target Field. They're at a plus 104, so if 100's an average, they're up about 4%. Throughout the year, it is very down in April, down 8% from that 104 in April, down 4% in May. June, it gets warm, and July, the runs are up 5% in June, 6% in July, down 1% in August, and about even in September. So that's how Target Field plays. It's a nice stadium. Like, go out and see the stadium. Not a lot of changes for this team year over year. If you look at the players they lost, not a lot of impact players. You've got Edward Julian, second baseman, who went to the Rockies in a trade. Only batted .220 with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs last year. Christian Vasquez is a catcher who was signed by the Astros. He only batted .189 last year with 3 home runs and 14 RBIs. And then Pearson Ole was traded to the traded to the Rockies. Pearson Ole went 0-3. Yes, I'm trying to joke there. 0-3 with a 5.10 ERA. So again, not a lot of big-time losses there. Who did they add? While it wasn't this overwhelming addition, they did add a really nice catcher in Victor Caratini, 259, 12 home runs, 46 RBIs, 728 OPS. They added Josh Bell, a first baseman. You know what you're going to get with Josh Bell. He batted 237, 22 home runs, 63 RBIs last year, 742 OPS. Josh Bell's going to hit 240 to 250, 20 home runs, 60 RBIs every year. That's what you're going to get with him. Not spectacular. Probably not a fantasy guy that I want, but does a decent job. Offensively, they signed Orlando Arcia to a minor league deal. Shortstop, batted 202, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs. And then Gio Urshela, third baseman, they signed to a minor league deal. Returns to Minnesota, 238, no home runs, 20 RBIs last year, just a 613 OPS. On the pitching side, they signed Taylor Rogers, 3-2 with a 338 ERA last year, 57 games, 50 2/3 innings, 53 strikeouts, 1.38 whip is a little bit elevated, but a good arm, no doubt about it. Liam Hendriks, the veteran who's battled all types of health issues over the years. You'd love to see this guy really turn it on again. 0-2 with a 6.59 ERA last year, only in 14 games. In fairness to him, it was just 13 2/3 innings. And then Anthony Banda came over in a trade with the Dodgers. I do like Anthony Banda. 5-1, 3.18 ERA last year, pitched in 71 games, did start a game, 65 innings, struck out 61 batters, pitched to a 122 whip. Really good arm. I like Banda. The last player I'll mention is a minor league signing, Andrew Chafin. 1-1, 2.41 ERA last year, 42 games. He pitched 33 2/3 innings, struck out 38 batters, and pitched to a 143 whip. So added some good bullpen arms, added a couple position players. Let's see how that plays for them. If I look at their hitting, last year they finished in the bottom third of the league in average and on-base percentage, and were 17th overall in OPS. So do they have a better lineup now? And by the way, when I go through this team, it is unbelievable how many first and second round draft picks this team has in their offensive roster. So I'll go through it as we go through the names. So Byron Buxton, center fielder, number 2 pick overall in 2012. When he's healthy, he's one of the best, most exciting players in baseball. 264 average, 35 home runs, 24 stolen bases last year. Doesn't get on base a ton, 327, but overall, 888 OPS, somewhere along those lines. So really good player. He just has to stay healthy. He's 32 years old now. Josh Bell was drafted in the second round, 61st overall by the Pirates back in 2011. I told you about Bell. He's going to come out and play first base. He's going to bat 240 to 250, 20 home runs, 60 RBIs. Luke Keyshaw is going to get a full season of play at second base. He is 23 years old, graduated from prospect status last year, had 207 plate appearances. He batted 302, 4 home runs, 14 stolen bases, got on base at a 382 clip. Really good numbers for this youngster, over an 820 OPS. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Again, 49th overall pick of Minnesota, a second rounder back in 2023. Trevor Larnach is a left fielder, a left-handed bat. He was drafted 20th overall by the Twins, a first-round pick back in 2018. Batted 250 last year, 17 home runs, 4 stolen bases, just a 323 on-base percentage, 404 slugging. So you're talking about a 728 OPS. You'd like a little more than that for a guy that might hit in the middle of your order. Victor Caratini, I talked about. He's going to DH a little bit. He's going to catch a little bit. Switch hitter, 32 years old. He was the number 2 or a second round pick of the Braves back in 2013, 65th overall, batted 259, 12 home runs, 324 on base percentage, 404 slugging, 728 OPS for your DH/catcher. Royce Lewis, we've been waiting for this kid to play for so long, just waiting for him to be healthy. He is now 26 years old. He'll be closer to 27 on opening day. He was the first overall pick in the 2017 draft. And unfortunately, due to health issues, he's just not produced. Now, last year, he did get 403 plate appearances, only batted 237, 13 home runs, 12 stolen bases, only got on base 28% of the time. So, it does have some work to do. OPS in the low 600s, mid 600s, I should say. I hope he has a breakout year this year. I could see it happening. We will see. We will see. Continuing the trend, Matt Wallner is a right fielder. Wallner was drafted 39th overall, first round pick of the Twins back in 2019. Last year batted just 202, hit 22 home runs, a 464 OPS, 775 OPS, a 464 slugging percentage. Wallner, you want him to do more than that. He's 28 years old now. For the 39th overall player in the draft, you want a little more consistency. Ryan Jeffers is 28 years old, second round pick of the Twins, 59th overall back in 2018. Jeffers, 266, 9 home runs last year. Did get on base at a 356 clip, but a 397 slugging percentage. You want more from Ryan Jeffers than that. And then Brooks Lee, 25 years old. He was the 8th overall pick of the Twins back in 2022. 527 plate appearances last year, batted just 236, 16 home runs, 3 stolen bases. Let me give you their bench, and then I want to make a comment. So on their bench, they've got James Outman, left-handed hitter, batted 134 last year in 148 plate appearances, 6 home runs. He will be a platoon guy that can play the outfield. Austin Martin was the 5th overall pick in the year 2020 by the Toronto Blue Jays. Batted 282 last year, got on base 37% of the time, 1 home run, 11 stolen bases. So a good infielder, outfielder, utility guy. Randy Creedler is going to be another platoon guy, utility guy, infielder, outfielder, right-handed bat. Only batted 105 in 44 plate appearances last year. And then Cody Clemens, another utility infielder, outfielder, a left-handed bat, batted 213 with 19 home runs last year and 5 stolen bases. So if you look at those 13 players I just discussed, 10 of them were first or second round draft picks of a team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of them were first or second round draft picks of Minnesota. Yet this team is in the bottom third in offense last year. And when you have these players, these high draft picks, they've got to hit. And if they're not hitting, somebody is doing something wrong. And whether that is, Thad Levine, who was the GM before Jeremy Zoll, maybe that's the case. But, Derek Falvey has been the president of baseball operations since 2016. A lot of these drafts were under him. So they just have not succeeded with some of their draft picks. And I don't think they're going to be better than the bottom third hitting-wise next year. Let's talk about the pitching. So last year, their starting pitching was also in the bottom third from an ERA standpoint, 23rd in ERA, 15th in WHIP. How does this rotation look? Well, the first thing I'll say is they lose Pablo Lopez for the year. He's going to have Tommy John surgery. Did it in February, won't be back this year. Really disappointing. Pablo Lopez has been a really steady, reliable arm for this team, and you hate to see that. So now their number one starter is going to be Joe Ryan, who there's nothing wrong with Joe Ryan. He's got a really good arm. At 29 years old, he'll be 30, close to 30 on opening day. Last year, 171 innings, 138 hits, and 194 strikeouts with a 3.42 ERA. Those are really good numbers. So got no issues with Joe Ryan being at the top of that rotation. The problem is beyond that. So your number 2 starter is probably somebody like Bailey Ober. Bailey Ober, 12th round pick of the Twins back in 2017. 146 in the third innings last year, 159 hits and 120 strikeouts, and he pitched to a 5.10 ERA. That is not a number 2 pitcher in your rotation. That's not even a number 5 pitcher in your rotation. So not great there. Simeon Woods Richardson actually didn't have a terrible year last year. He's not a number 3 starter, but last year, 111 in the third innings, 96 hits, 107 strikeouts, a 4.04 ERA. Really not bad. More of a 4 or 5 starter than a 3 starter. He was the 48th overall pick of the Mets back in 2018. So, maybe there's some upside there with Simeon Woods Richardson. SWR. Taj Bradley came over last July in a trade with Tampa Bay. Bradley could never get himself straight in Tampa Bay. See if he does anything here with Minnesota. It was a 5th-round pick of Tampa. Last year, 142 and 2/3 innings, 131 hits, and 127 strikeouts. He pitched to a 5.05 ERA. Again, not what you want even as a 4th starter. And then Mick Abel came over in a trade last July. Young, 24 years old, was the 15th overall pick in the 2020 draft, but his numbers last year were not good. He had a 6.23 ERA, started 8 games, 39 innings, 43 hits, and 39 strikeouts. So certainly not what you want to see in one of your starters. So outside of their Joe Ryan, maybe Simeon Woods Richardson can play closer to the top of the rotation, but just not a lot after that, which is disappointing. Let's talk about bullpen. So this is a team that in the bullpen was 26th in ERA and 25th in WHIP. Did they improve the bullpen? So they brought Taylor Rogers over. He's likely going to close for this team. 3.38 ERA last year, 50 and 2/3 innings, 47 hits, 53 strikeouts. We'll see how he does as a closer. Much different than being a setup guy. From a setup standpoint, you've got the left-hander Cody Funderburk, 3.51 ERA last year, 41 innings, 44 hits, 40 strikeouts. Not awful. Cole Sands is your right-handed setup guy, 72 innings, 65 hits, 64 strikeouts, a 4.50 ERA. You'd like to see something a little bit better than that. Middle relief, I mentioned Anthony Banda. I like him. I wonder if he could end up closing for this team by year's end. 32 years old, 3.18 ERA last year, 65 innings, 45 hits, and 61 strikeouts. Wouldn't be surprised if he sets up or closes by year's end. I like Justin Topa. He's been around for a while, 35 years old, pitched to a 3.90 ERA last year, 60 innings, 68 hits, 49 strikeouts. You've got Eric Orzi, relief pitcher, 3.02 ERA last year, 41 and 2/3 innings, 38 hits, and 40 strikeouts. I mentioned Andrew Chafin. He's a non-roster invitee. I don't see how he does not get a spot in this bullpen. 2.41 ERA last year, 33 and 2/3 innings, 29 hits, and 36 strikeouts. And then Travis Adams is probably going to be your long relief guy. He's 26 years old, 6th-round pick of the Twins back in 2021, 33 and 2/3 innings last year, 39 hits and 31 strikeouts, and an inflated 7.49 ERA. So, I don't see a ton of improvement in this bullpen. Feels like a bottom third of the league to me. And if you've got a bottom third hitting or bottom third lineup, bottom third relief pitching, and maybe worse than bottom third starting pitching, might be one of the worst in baseball. This does not set up well for this team in 2026. That does not mean, by the way, that you shouldn't come out and support them. As a fan, you should support them, absolutely. Let's talk about their farm system. Do they have some hope there? So they were the 8th best farm system in 2021, fell to 14th in 22, 21st in 23, 14th in 24, 8th and 25, and now they sit around 12th. They've got some players that can play, but the reason they were 8th and 21 and, kind of mid-tier, maybe even a little bit better over the years was because these players that are on the major league roster right now were good prospects. They're just not producing. Somebody needs to be held accountable for that. Let's talk about a couple of players in particular, and I'll start with Walker Jenkins. This is an outfielder, 20 years old, 6'3", 205 pounds, top Twins prospect, 5th overall in baseball. You'll hear a lot of similarities between Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez, who I will talk about next, who's also an outfield prospect. Jenkins, the Twins selected him 5th overall in 2023. He played for the USA Baseball 18 and under national team as an underclassman in 21. He made the team in 22, but couldn't play because of a hamate injury. That was just the beginning. It was his second noteworthy injury as an amateur. He missed all his freshman season recovering from hip impingement surgery. Then in pro ball, he did perform when he was healthy, but he got off to a slow start in 24 due to a quad injury and then missed 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. He came back strong and then ended the year at Double-A Wichita. In 2025, he suffered a left ankle sprain in spring training, tried to play through it, was the third youngest player in the Texas League on opening day, but after 2 games, he was shut down due to lingering issues with soreness in his left ankle. He returned to Wichita in June and ended up hitting .309, .426 on base percentage, .487 slugging percentage. He was promoted to Triple-A St. Paul in late August, and after starting 1 for 20, he hit .296 with a .351 on base percentage and a .479 slugging percentage the rest of the season. When he plays, he produces. As long as he stays healthy, he can produce. He's the potential 5-tool player. He stands out physically. He's an elite athlete, solid approach and above average bat to ball skills. His contact rate decreased a little bit in 25, but he was experimenting with some things, trying to create more impact with his bat. I don't read too much into that. He's become adept at hitting fastballs of all velocities, and he's comfortable hitting secondaries as well. His average exit velocity has increased each year. He's produced above average exit velocities for his age. He's hitting at 110.1 miles an hour. I mean, that's pretty darn good. He's got one of the highest barrel rates in the Twins system, so he needs to refine his batted ball angles to reach his power ceiling. He's got potential plus defender in all outfield positions. He's got plenty of range for center field. His injuries might put him more into a corner outfield slot. He's got a plus or an above average arm, so that could play in right field really well. Look, he's got a balanced skill set, and as long as he's healthy, I think his floor is high and his upside will determine how far he can go. He's got a hit grade of 70, power grade of 50, fielding grade of 60, an arm of 55, a run grade of 55. I think he'll start in Triple-A, but would expect him in Minnesota before the middle of the year. Now, I mentioned Emmanuel Rodriguez. He is also the outfielder, 22 years old, second prospect overall for the Twins, 57th in baseball, according to Baseball America. Emmanuel Rodriguez is only 5'10", 210 pounds, signed for $2.5 million out of the Dominican Republic in 2019. He is yet to play 100 games in a season. He missed 4 months in 2022 with a left knee sprain, another month in 23 with an abdominal injury. In 2024, he missed a bunch of time with a thumb injury. That required off-season surgery. 2025, he was slowed by a thumb sprain again. And then he had an abdominal injury in May that kept him out until early July. His 4th game back in July, he strained his oblique and was out till September. So overall, he played 65 games, and 20% of those were rehab assignments. So we don't really know what we have with him yet. Here's what we do know. He's got a strong lower half and supreme knowledge of the strike zone. His chase rate is one of the lowest in the system. His career walk rate is above 20%, which is really good. His career strikeout rate is over 30%, and he ranks near the bottom of the system in contact rate, so that's not good. 90th percentile exit velocity is 109.2, which is the highest in the system. He's an aggressive base runner with above average speed. He's got a plus arm and could play center, but again, might be better in a corner due to his injury history. He's another guy that's going to head back to Triple-A to start 2026. At least I think that's where he will start. He has a chance to make his major league debut this year. He's got all-star upside, but there's a lot of risk in his profile given his injuries, his contact rate. So, he's got a 60 power grade, but, was he going to be able to tap into that? But 2 really good of-age prospects that could and should be playing in Minnesota this year. 2 more I want to talk about. One is Kalen Culpepper. He's a 23-year-old shortstop, 6 foot, 185 pounds, the Twins' 3rd best prospect, 4th overall in baseball. He was a standout player at Kansas State, where he was a 3-time All-Big 12 conference selection. He played for USA Baseball's collegiate national team one summer. The Twins drafted him 21st overall in 2024. He did play 26 games after signing, and he made it to high A ball. In 2025, he returned to high A ball and excelled, was promoted to double A ball. He got off to a quick start there, but then saw his performance kind of tail off towards the end of the year. Regardless, the Twins named him their minor league player of the year last year. He batted .289, 375 on base percentage, .469 OPS, 20 home runs. He's an athletic infielder, balanced profile. He's got no standout tools, but he's really good across the board. He's got solid bat speed. He's comfortable hitting velocity and was one of two hitters in the Twins system with an OPS above 700 against both left-handers and right-handers. He rarely misses pitches in the zone. He is prone to chase from time to time. He's got to work on that. He's got average raw power that plays primarily to his pull side, so he's got to lean into that. He needs to elevate the ball more consistently. He's got a plus arm, but he's not a lock to stick at shortstop. His lack of range could move him to a corner position or maybe second base. But if he does stick up the middle, he has the potential to be a regular player in this lineup. And again, if he can stay up the middle, his value would be maximized. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Culpepper on this Twins team sometime in 2026. The last player I want to talk about is Connor Prelip because he's a left-handed pitcher, 24 years old, 110 pounds, fourth prospect for the Twins, 94th overall in baseball. He had a great freshman season in Alabama, but then unfortunately missed most of the next two seasons with Tommy John surgery. He slid to the second round in the 2022 draft, but didn't pitch after signing. In his first professional start for the Twins minor league team, his elbow flared up and they realized he needed internal brace surgery in July of 2023. He returned in 2024, had 9 very short outings and pitched really well. And then last year, the Twins built up his workload slowly. He only threw 82 and 2/3 innings between AA and AAA. But, his final start, he threw a career-high 6 innings, 84 pitches. He was named the Twins minor league pitcher of the year and already pitched in AAA ball. He's got an advanced 3-pitch mix and deceptive delivery. His arm action is short, and he hides the ball really well. His fastball sits 94 to 96. It can touch 98. He's got solid command of his pitches. He's got a mid-80 slider that's his most used secondary pitch, and it's seen as a plus offering. His changeup also has plus potential. Look, durability is the only thing holding him back right now. If he comes out and just throws the ball and does really well, overall, he could be a mid-rotation starter for this team for years to come. But I think he could, as long as he's healthy, he could and should make his debut with the Twins sometime this year. And some of his overall ranking of worth is really due to his injury history. So a lot of upside there if he can stay healthy. From an international standpoint, the Twins did sign in January the 34th overall prospect in this international signing class, Emmanuel Merlo. He's a shortstop signed for $1.5 million. He's out of Venezuela. 17 years old. He's 6'1", 190 pounds, switch hitter. Given his size and that he's only 17, he may not stick at shortstop, but a lot of these guys are just so athletic. They can play a lot of places. We'll see how he develops over time. There's a good chance this Twins team falls out of contention and they will have some trade assets to move to a contending team. Who could those players be? I'll start with some of the hitters. Josh Bell could be a tradable asset. I don't think it would be a high return because, again, you kind of know what you're going to get with him. 240, 250, 20 home runs, 60 RBIs. He signed for $5.75 million in 26. He does have a $10 million option, mutual option for 27, but could be a trade asset for this team. Ryan Jeffers, catcher. Again, 28, 29 years old. He signed for $1 million through 26, then a $5 million mutual option. I don't think he would be a heavily regarded asset, but could be a backup catcher that a team wants to sign. So wouldn't return a lot to the Twins. I highly doubt that it would return a lot to the Twins. Now, you do have some bullpen arms, though. You've got Taylor Rogers. Again, he might close this year, and if he does really well, puts up good numbers, he could be an asset. He signed for $2 million this year, and then he's a free agent in 27. And then I mentioned Justin Topa. He's a free agent. I'm sorry, he makes $1 million this year and has a $5 million mutual option for next year. So he could be a trade asset. Topa is 35 years old. Taylor Rogers is 35 years old. So again, somebody that a team might want to pick up to make a run at the pennant. The biggest trade asset, and maybe one of the biggest in baseball, because at some point this year, I will do a trade asset show as we get closer to the deadline. But Joe Ryan, no doubt about it. Ryan is owed $6.1 million this year. He's got a $13 million mutual option next year. And then in 28, he's a free agent. He is 29 years old. He'll be close to 30 on opening day. He is a top of the rotation starter. He would garner a really good return as long as he's healthy. And I think that could be a huge, huge trade chip for a Twins team that is in the midst of some redevelopment right now. They might not think it's redevelopment. They may think they're already in redevelopment and now it's just giving these kids a chance to play. Fair enough. That's great. But if they play as they did last year, I just don't think it's enough for them to contend. So overall, where do I see this team? I think they are probably in my bottom tier. I don't see any way around it. I think the Twins, there are teams better than them in this division. Certainly the Detroit Tigers come to mind. I think, a team like the Royals, who we just talked about, comes to mind. Maybe the White Sox are worse than them, so at least they've got that going for them. But that's how I see this team, and that covers the Minnesota Twins. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. We covered the Kansas City Royals, Minnesota Twins today, two American League Central teams. Appreciate the listen or the view. Again, you can watch me on YouTube, every podcast. You can listen to me on Apple or on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. I really appreciate that. That gives you automatic download of the show if you want it, which is always helpful to me when I'm listening to various podcasts. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up on whatever platform you're on. Follow me on social media, X, Instagram, @TellusEllisHQ. I would appreciate that. And then email me if you have a question or want to join the show or want to talk about something. Jamie@TellusEllis.com. Again, thanks for listening. Until next time, 4 more teams left. Talk to you soon.